Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's episode, I am joined by freshman from the Trinity women's hockey team, Annabelle Merkel. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Annabelle, and how's everything going?
It's good. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here and answer any questions you have for me.
Well, I'm excited to have the chance to talk with you. I would say you're probably a sophomore now, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't know what to say if you were a freshman or sophomore.
Neither do I, honestly. I think we're still called freshmen, so
I
by
would
my team at least.
I would say until the first day of your fall semester next year, you'll be a
Yeah, until the
freshman.
newbies get there.
Yeah. Well, how has your off season been like so far? And do you have any plans this summer, whether it's hockey or non-hockey related?
The off season's been great. It's given me a lot of time when I was in school. It gave me a lot of time to focus more on academics and my classes and hang out with friends that I didn't have on the hockey team because obviously you're so busy during the season, you don't have much time for anything but class and sports. And then this summer, I'm just planning on working a ton and practicing on the ice and off ice, and that's really it. There's not much else to it this summer for
Yeah.
me.
What is something you like want to work on regarding your game for next season?
I want to work on my speed and like reaction times, stuff like that. Just very specific defenseman things like on the blue line, walking it and shot, like the speed of my shots, stuff like that. Just specific small skills that I'm hoping to help better myself. That'll help better myself in the season next year.
Well, I sort of want to start off this podcast like I always do, just sort of talking about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of working all the way up to where you are today. So from the research that I did on yourself, it says that you're from Chicago. So talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing hockey?
Um, I have been in Chicago all my life. I started playing because my older cousins played, and then that caused my older brother to play. And when I saw him on the ice, I basically was like to my parents, I was like, I want to do that. And they put me in some skates and a helmet, and that was the end of that. That's how I started playing. And then it's always been a little different from what I've learned other people like their experience in boarding school and that type of situation. I've bounced around from different clubs. I played at Team Illinois, Chicago Young Americans, and Mission for all of my youth hockey career. Just bounced back and forth between all of them. It's very different from what I would say a lot of boarding school students have as their experience. It's not as stable. I
Mhm.
don't know what other word to use other than that. I guess like from my friends, they're on the same team all 4 years. But me here, everybody kind of shifts around, and it was nice to end up back at Mission my last year and see all my friends who ended up there because that's who I started playing out hockey with.
Well, did you have like a favorite player growing up? Did you watch any hockey growing up? I'm assuming you were probably a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan based on the Stanley Cups they've
Yeah.
won the last 10 years.
I'm
So I just talk about that a little bit. Who's your favorite player growing up?
um, definitely easily Patrick Kane. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty bland answer, but it's who I grew up watching. It's who me and my brothers grew up watching. We went to the parades when they won, and it was like always like, oh my God, there's Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves. That's really my only favorite players there. I know they just left, so it's kind of sad to see him go, but excited to
Yeah.
see what he does at the Rangers.
Yeah. And are you still a Blackhawks fan today? What's your thoughts on them getting the number one overall pick and landing Bedard?
I am a Blackhawks fan today. I know they have had a couple very rough seasons, but I mean, I have to stay true to my hometown city. I'm super excited to see what they do with Bedard and how they're going to rebuild the organization and just what kind of legacy that'll leave.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge Bruins fan, and your team broke my heart 10 years ago today. So never forget that. But definitely a fun team to watch back in the day for sure.
Yeah.
Well, like you mentioned, before you played for Trinity, you played for the Chicago Mission and a couple of other youth teams in your area. So just talk about your playing experiences with those teams, and especially with the Mission, because it said that you won a state title with them your senior year.
Yeah, it was really great to end up at Mission my senior year. Um, a lot of the players from that team I played with when I first started out AAA at U12, and then we all ended up going our separate ways. And it was really nice to be able to come back and have those same friends and basically just one big family. It's they're very welcoming there, and it was a very fun season to be able to play my last season with everybody that I knew and just very comfortable with the coaches, and they're very I don't know how else to describe it. They're very welcoming. It's a very welcoming environment there. And the fact that we won state title my last season there was just it was beyond what I expected. It was a great experience. I'm so happy that that was how I got to end my season. I got to end it going to nationals with some of my best friends and just playing hockey with everyone that I grew up with.
What's like, is that the best memory you have from your playing career prior to college, is winning that state title, I assume?
I would say so. The year before that, I played on Team Illinois, and that's when COVID struck. Kind of like we didn't. There was no state games. So they were unofficial. And when I played on Team Illinois, we beat Chicago Mission. And so the next year, when I was able to, we didn't get the title for that because there was no state games. But the next year to be able to actually be on Mission and then win that state title was really great. It was nice to have that.
Who were some of your teammates with the Mission that year?
Oh, I was grew up playing with like Cora Sullivan.
Hmm.
She's over at Hamilton now, so it's great to still be playing against her. Courtney Schumacher, I love her. She's over at Colby. Some of my teammates that I still practice with in the summer all the time are Anya Weiland, Calista Chong. Grew up with them too. It's so great just to be able to still be such close friends with them and like reconvene back in the summer and play with them too.
Now talk about your how the Chicago Mission and those youth teams that you played for helped prepare you for college hockey with Trinity.
Um, I would say it's very competitive. Um, Especially at the Mission, we always had extremely competitive practices because obviously you practice the way you play. It's such a big saying in hockey or in any sport. If you don't practice well, you're not going to play at such a high level. So really enjoyed how everybody on that team brought a certain level of competitiveness and just drive every practice that prepared everyone else for their future in college, really. When I got to Trinity, it's obviously very different from a high school experience or youth like athletics experience. And it was nice to have that level of competition a year before I got to college to kind of get me ready for what it's going to be like on the ice playing against all these elite athletes.
Now talk about your recruitment process with Trinity and what made you want to go to that school versus other ones you might have looked at.
My recruitment process was definitely different from most. I didn't commit until late April of or mid-April of my senior year of high school. A lot of that was influenced just by COVID and like coaching staff and where everybody like there were a lot of people taking fifth years, a lot of people using like taking gap years, stuff like that. But for Trinity, Coach Keith Maurice reached out to me early my senior year, senior season, and we just kind of talked throughout that whole year. And I was communicating with other college coaches, but they weren't just, there was nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with the team. I love them all, but the level of academics at those schools wasn't what I was looking for. And at Trinity, they have such high valued academics. That's obviously what comes first for a lot of people there. And um, being able to pursue what I wanted to academically. Like I'm going into the STEM, the STEM field. I'm going into biology, and seeing how they value their academics and the environment that people create at Trinity. It was honestly, I visited and it was kind of love at first sight.
Yeah.
I love the school.
And obviously committing so late, was it, how did you like handle that challenge of COVID and then sort of like finding the school that's right for you while other players that you probably knew were committing during that time where you're sort of unsure?
It was tough. It was very tough. There was a point, multiple points in my senior year where I had kind of accepted that, maybe college hockey isn't for me. Maybe like this is it. I just was going to enjoy my last season and then I was going to go to a state school or another school out east, something like that, where I didn't end up playing. And um, seeing all my teammates around me committing to different schools, committing to different colleges, it was really tough. And I am just thankful to be where I'm at because I know that there are a lot of players who didn't get opportunities because of COVID. A lot of players did have to take fifth years when they didn't want to. And I'm just grateful to be where I'm at and grateful that Coach Keith offered me that spot and that I'm at Trinity now because I love it here.
Now, as a freshman, what was like the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the speed of the game, the physicality, or just the less time and space that you have to create and make plays happen?
I would say the less time and space definitely is hit me big, hit me fast. It was a big shift from youth hockey. I think you have more time and space in the youth game to make decisions and get to where you need to be. You don't have to rush as much. And when I got to college, I stepped foot during our first exhibition game and I was like, whoa, this is a fast paced game. There are a lot of things going on at once. And it was a huge shift. I'm glad that we started captain's practices early in order to help adjust us freshmen to that and the speed of the game and how you have to think four steps ahead at all times, stuff like that. So,
And talk about what it's like playing in NESCAC and just the competition that you face every weekend, because I think it's arguably one of the best conferences in D3 hockey.
yeah, I'd say that all the NESCAC teams are very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry.
Competitive.
Yeah, very competitive, very, like top collegiate teams. I'm very proud to be where I'm at and very, it's a privilege is what I was looking for. It's a privilege to be where I'm at. Every week it was a new challenge because we were facing new teams. It was definitely very, I'm sorry, I'm lacking vocab right now.
It's all good.
um,
Don't worry about it.
it was very difficult to play each team, a different team each weekend because each team has their strength in an SCAC. And I think especially starting out against Middlebury as a freshman, I didn't know what that really meant, but all I heard around me was, "Oh my God, they're like the top NESCAC. They're one of the top NESCAC teams. Oh my gosh, we need to be on our A game. We need to be working hard every week." And it's kind of scary as a first year. You don't know what to expect each team because even if you're halfway through the season, it could be your first time playing one of the NESCACs, and you're like, "Wow, I don't know what to expect at all." You just hear what everybody else is saying. Um, but bringing a level of competitiveness, like I said, every week during practice, and just having the older players to look up to and ask them questions really helped with calming those nerves and being prepared for the weekend.
And you obviously scored your first collegiate goal against Middlebury that weekend. So talk about that goal and what you took away. I guess where talk about that goal, what it meant to you, and where do you keep the puck today?
Oh my gosh, that was one of the craziest experiences of my life. I remember, like I said, going into that weekend, it was one of our first games, and everybody was saying how strong of a team they are and how we need to work so hard and how we need to be prepared. And then to go out there and score that goal was crazy for me. Um, I just remember lighting up and being like, "Oh my God, I just scored my first college goal against Middlebury." It was crazy. It was a crazy experience. I have the puck in my room right now.
Nice.
I keep it with me. But I think it kind of taught me that like helped me calm all my nerves that I had about the game in general. I didn't like it was my first one of my first college games. Knowing that every player is just as capable out on that ice, you just have to put in the work for it. Um, really helped boost my confidence and really helped me feel comfortable in the game.
Yeah, it must have also felt good to sort of get that monkey off your back
Yeah,
immediately in college, and not have to worry about it for the rest of the season.
yeah.
Now, like you mentioned, you're a biology major. You obviously go to a really good school. So how do you balance hockey and academics at such a high level, especially at a good university like Trinity?
It's definitely a lot about time management and having a support system. So I think it's definitely a shift from high school where I was going to school and not getting home till 4:30 and then going to practice and doing all sorts of clubs after school, stuff like that. But it shifts in college to the point where you get to pick your classes, you get to pick when they are, you get to pick what like level courses you want to take and get to pick them to align and I guess in the best way possible to surround your schedule with sports, which is really nice, at least for me, because um, I was able to pick classes where I'd be done early in the day and be able to get work started on my work, and then I'd go to practice and be done after practice some days. But there definitely are some late nights in the library, and I think that's where the support system comes in. I think it's important to make a lot of friends in your classes and go to your TA sessions, go to your office hours with your professors because that helps a lot. Having people that you can talk to about the class when you don't understand something takes a lot of the stress off when you are so busy with sports and have to leave early on a Friday afternoon for for like a game that's in a different state. You don't have to worry so much about, oh my gosh, am I going to pass this class? Oh my gosh, I have a test on Monday. I don't know how to do this assignment. It takes a lot of the stress off being able to talk to others like from your classes and be like, hey, like, how did you do this? Or like work on practice problems together, and know that there are other people that are in that same situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And just talk about your team's performance this past season and what you took away from it. You guys went 12-11. Obviously, probably not the record your team envisioned for, but I feel like a lot of games, a lot of positives to take away from some of the games that you played this season.
Yeah, we went about 500. It was really nice to see our team work hard all season and come out where, I mean, it's not the ending we wanted, but you could tell by the end of the season, we were a really cohesive team. We worked together, we were putting in our best effort, and it showed. And I think something to take away from that is just growth as a team is a very up and down process. There's lots of valleys, lots of hills, and obviously every team has them. But to see our team overcome like certain difficulties or certain tough games that we've had, like we'd go against a team like Hamilton, and we would go into overtime in both games, and then we'd end up losing. And that's obviously extremely tough because you work so hard just to end up with another loss. But I think it taught us um, I think it taught us a lot about perseverance and just pushing through a lot of stressors that you have from outside of hockey and working together as a team, because obviously every team, it's new every year, there's new incoming freshmen, your seniors are leaving, and it's a new mix of people a lot of the time. So it was nice to see us quickly get into the swing of things where nobody is throwing blame, nobody is saying, oh, I want you to work on, like, oh, you did that wrong, like you should do this. Like it was nice to have people building each other up in a positive way, and if you have critiques, to say them in a way that doesn't obviously come off bad, like you're not trying to put somebody down, you're trying to help them become better. Like I think our team was very focused on helping each other become better as a unit, which I'm so appreciative to have.
Now, you guys lost to Colby College in double overtime in the NESCAC playoffs this past season, which ended your season. What'd you learn from that playoff game that you think is going to help your team out for next season?
Um, I think that playoff game was definitely a tough one, going into two overtimes and then losing in that second one. I know I looked to a couple of the freshmen in the locker room and we were all just like, "Is this going to keep going? Are there a ton of overtimes?" We didn't really know. But I think the most important thing that we learned from that game is that we believed in ourselves. Like we didn't think, "Oh, Colby beat us last time we played them," or the season before. I know I wasn't there, but I know Colby was our season ender the season before. Um, it was extremely tough for some of our players to have it happen again. But I think it taught us to believe in ourselves because we had the ability to beat them. Like we did. We were extremely close. It was obviously double overtime. It was just one goal versus the other. One goal kills it all, ends it all. And I think knowing that we were that close will only just push us harder and make us want it more next season.
Now, what was the biggest improvement that you made to your game this past season?
I think I learned a lot about communication. That was a big thing that our coaches and our teammates were trying to instill in everyone around them. Um, and not only communicating like in a game, talking on the ice physically, but also communicating off the ice and during practice. So if you have suggestions for a teammate or if they have suggestions for you, to take them and think about what you can work on to help the team be more successful, or to communicate with coaches or captains like, "Hey, I'm busy this day, like I have like a class obligation," stuff like that. Is there another lift time that I can go to, or is there any extra ice this week? That like communication really was a big theme of this year, I think. Really helped me learn that sorry, loss of words again.
It's
Really
okay.
helped me learn that you don't have to stress about all the little things if you're working on communicating with others about what's going on around you. So it comes easy to you when you were just talking. And I don't know how else to explain it other than that. Out on the ice, it's really nice to just know that you can have trust in your teammates because you've talked through what you're going to do out there and stuff like that, instead of going out there on your own and not knowing what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think is like your team's goals and expectations for next season?
I think our goals and expectations are to just come back cohesively as one strong unit. We want to come back stronger in our preseason than we did last year. And then that only pushes us to be stronger when our season starts right off the bat. I think we want to be, I think we want to be at the top right off the bat, right off the bat, right at the beginning of the season, not let anything get us down then.
And what was like your favorite moment from your freshman year when you look back on it now?
I think one of my favorite moments was playing Con College in our. It was our second game. We had won the day before. We went into overtime, and I wasn't expecting to get out there. I'm a freshman. I'm a first year, and there's so many talented players on our bench. But then our coach stuck me and two other freshmen out there for one shift, and we all saw each other. And we like frantically were like freaking out, like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna do?" We come up with a play, and our centerman Emma Robertson, she was like, "I'm gonna win it back to you," and you and our other wingman Lillian Cassidy, she said, "You two are gonna go up, and you're just gonna go and try and score." And that's exactly what happened. We started out in our end zone. Emma won it back to me. Me and Lillian went down, and it was a shot off the pad and a rebound score. And it was amazing just to be out there, just three freshmen winning that overtime. It was great.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you
Mm-hmm.
some non-hockey questions just to get to know you and your teammates a little bit more off the ice.
Yeah.
First one is, what music do you like to listen to?
I like to listen to I don't know what type I call it, but it's like I like Mac Miller, Frank Ocean, stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
also do really like old rock. I like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Nirvana, all that type of stuff. I love
Yeah.
it.
That's cool. That's cool. I think U2 is one of my favorite bands of all time. I'm pretty sure they would probably be
Nice.
considered old rock as well.
Yeah.
But what is your guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, I have so many. It's so bad. I think some of my tops are definitely Shameless or um, BoJack Horseman. I don't
Mhm.
know. I just there's so many seasons to them that I can just binge them.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. What's your most embarrassing hockey moment?
There are too many to count to start off. I think the most recent one I can think of is when I was playing Manhattanville and their entire team changed. So our forwards were up at the far blue line, and I was going back to our zone to get the puck, and just I went to turn, immediately wiped out into the boards. Puck was behind me by about 3 yards. Nobody was around, and I just laid there for a second. Just the wipeouts get you so bad.
Yeah, no, I get that. As long as they didn't score on that play, though, that's all that counts.
True, true. I got lucky on that. Had a good D partner.
That's good. That's good. What would the perfect day look like for you?
Perfect day would probably right now be I haven't seen any of my high school friends since August because we're there for Thanksgiving break and winter break. So I haven't and then our spring breaks didn't line up. So probably right now would be hanging out with them, going to get some good food in Chicago, and then going down to the beach or the ledge by the water and just seeing them again would be nice.
Yeah. Mine's probably so basic. It's probably just going to like a hockey or baseball game, just hanging out with friends after. So that would probably be
Yeah.
mine. Now, let's talk about some of your teammates. Who's the funniest on the Trinity women's hockey team?
Who's the funniest? That is a difficult one. I would say one of the funniest people on our team is definitely Katie Rice.
Hmm.
I love that girl to bits. She will always crack a joke every second she gets. Any comment you make, she's always there with a one liner ready to go.
I think you have the best style on the team, Annabelle, but besides yourself, who would you say has the best style on the team?
Well, thank you, first off. But I really enjoy Olive School's outfits. She's one of our former captains. Um, I just love her style. Every
Yeah.
game day, she walks in with a new outfit, better than the one before.
What is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
um, I honestly do not know. I've been home for probably like 4 or 5 days, and I think the most interesting thing I've seen is just that nobody's here. Like it's so much quieter back home. There's nothing really going on around me. I live in a quiet neighborhood in the north side of Chicago, so there's not much important things or that I've seen or read about, to be
Yeah.
honest.
The
It's
Cubs
very
aren't doing
boring where I'm
anything.
at.
The Cubs aren't doing anything right now.
um Not that I know of. All I know is the only interesting thing I've read is they're doing a uh the Cubs are having a Chicago PD, Chicago Firemen game, like appreciation game next week, which will be nice. I'm going to that with my family
Oh, that's
because I haven't
cool.
been in a Cubs game forever, so that'll be nice.
Yes, that's cool. That's cool. Um, Now one more I guess two more non-hockey questions. If you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
I know it's kind of a boring answer, but I'd say my sister.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen. I don't see her that often. We've lived apart for about 6 years because since she went off to college. She lives in Philadelphia, and she's just one of the most interesting people to talk to. I think she is a neuroscience major, or she graduated with her neuroscience degree, so she is very sciencey like I am. So we can talk about a ton of things on that topic, but also she grew up. She's the only one in our family that didn't grow up playing a sport, so I can
Yeah.
talk to her about all the hockey stuff, and she won't. I mean, she won't understand it, but she'll try her best.
Now, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Oh, to play myself. Oh boy, I have no idea. I think I don't know a specific actor, but I'd say anybody with a hectic personality that resembles a lot of chaos.
Yeah,
I think just playing a sport growing up always is a chaotic life.
I get that. I feel like someone in my family, just because they probably know me the best and probably look
That's
more
true.
like me. So that would make, I feel like that would make the most sense.
That would make a lot of sense. But sadly, none of my family members look like me.
Oh,
So
really?
unfortunate.
Wow. Well, one more question before I end this interview is just any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates and who should we have on the podcast next?
I just want to shout out my team in general, my Trinity team for being so welcoming and for pushing me to be better this season and making me happy with where I'm at. And then shout out to my old coaches over at Mission for getting me to where I'm at because I really do love it here. I love it at Trinity. For who you should have next on the podcast, I would say one specific person. I would say was Anya Weiland. I grew up with her, loved playing with her last year at Mission, and she's over at LIU now, doing amazing things. Love her. But if not that, I'd say any other first year or any other person who's just completed their first year because I think it's really interesting to gain perspective on how different everybody's first year can be.
Yeah, especially with your class, with how the COVID sort of affected people's
Mm-hmm.
recruiting process. I find that interesting to listen to as well.
Yeah.
Well, Annabelle, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It really means so much to myself, and I wish you all the best. And I can't wait to see your team next season and all the success that you have. And best of luck with all your future endeavors as well with the biology major. I know you're going to do great with that as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this. It really was a pleasure and a privilege to get invited on. So excited.